why was this a step for you, this character of C.S. Lewis, because of where you had been in terms of acting?
It was a return, really, because when I was a younger actor, when I came here to New York in 1974 to do Equus, I mean, I used to sort of eat the furniture, you know. I used to big, when you're young, you can do all that stuff, and I was always a bit impressed by myself, thinking, God, this is good. And people seemed to like what I was doing and give me parts. But there was a great director I worked with. He's a pretty savage director called John Dexter. He's gone now. He's dead. But he used to shout at me to stand still, hold it, and be economical. Laurence Olivier said the same thing when I was working at the Vic. He said, economize. He said, because if you hit the ceiling all the time, the audience gets dull. They may as well go to the pub and get drunk next door. So he said, don't show too much, just contain. But I never understood that, and as the years have gone by, it's sort of beginning, it's happened for me. I understand that the less you show, the less is more. But you have to have the power or reserve inside. But the less you show, you let the audience do the work. And it's a trick, I guess, or it's something that came to me. But it's not even a conscious technique of, I just find it easier now to be still. And, but with Shadowlands, it was like a return for me. It's like going back and think, oh, I can go back to that area of my life. I can go back to this emotional reservoir and use it. It sounds very conceited to say this, but, you know, I'm an actor, and I was just kind of mightily relieved when I found that I was able to tap back into that reserve. But it's just another interpretation, you know.
You have a reputation for acting by instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, actually, I suppose I'm a method actor.
Yeah, but you deny that, don't you?
I am a method actor, really. I have my own personal method.
Yeah.
But what I've simplified it now, and I absorb the text. I sort of absorb the text, take it in.
The script tells you what?
Well, the script is the script. I mean, all the information I need is the lines that have been written by Bill Nicholson or Shakespeare or whoever he is. There, put it into the computer, which is up here, which we all have, is the computer. And program it, put it in there, let it cook, let it gestate, and then when you turn up on the set or the stage or wherever you're going to rehearse or shoot the film or whatever, relax. That's the most important thing to program yourself, is to relax and say, okay, no deep meditation, but say, okay, I'm relaxed. And then come on, and when they say action, let the part play through you. And I find that that is for me, the most surprising thing is that the character plays through you. Through your instrument, your body, your mind, your psyche, and it filters through you and will take its own course. And what the fun I get out of it is, the real fun is never knowing what's going to happen next. And even on stage, if you're repeating a performance, you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. And I think that's what you have to do with the other actors. Keep it fluid all the time.
And also fresh.
Yeah, it's difficult on stage to do that night after night, but it's something you can aim for. Sometimes it's exhausting because you come to a point you think, I don't think I can find any more interpretations of this. But whether it's Shakespeare or Sophocles or Tennessee Williams or whatever.
Let me go back to Wales. Growing up there is said, what was your childhood like, and why was acting, in a sense, an escape for you?
Well, I had an idyllic childhood in one way. In one respect, it was a very powerful memory and image of it all. I've got almost total recall of impressions and images of it, of summers and beautiful summers. But as a child, academically in school, I was lonely and I was scared. I didn't know. I think perhaps I was dyslexic, maybe, I don't know. I was really stupid. Yeah. I couldn't keep up with people. So I felt much of an outsider.
But you had things you could do. You were a great mimic and things like that.
I was a mimic.
Yeah.
And I was a mimic. And I could paint and I could draw and I could play the piano. But I was a bit morbid. I was a bit depressed. My father used to urge me to get out and make friends, and I could never have. So I think what happened, situations came along, and I was born in the same town as Richard Burton, who was then a big success. The local boy made good. And one day I thought, I want to do that. That's what I want to be. I just wanted to escape out of myself and become, so I became an actor. And in a way, I have to say, it's been a great therapy for me. It's given me a whole freedom. And it's been a sort of cure, in a way. It's affirmed for me that I wasn't, that life is good and that I can actually function and that things are okay.
Do you have some sense it's what you were born to do?
Was I born to do it?
Yeah.
I'm still a bit bewildered. I still never, and I'm glad of this because of where I came from and what I was as a child, I never, still today, don't quite fit into this profession. I feel like I'm visiting, which in a way it's
you
good
sort
for
of look
me.
at it. There's some sense that you look at it almost through a telescope from a sense of detachment.
I still have that feeling, and I don't hang out with actors much. I feel that I mean, actually, I sometimes think, I wonder if they're going to find out that I really don't belong in this business.
But you don't feel that anymore, do you? There's a little voice there saying...
Not really, but the voice that keeps reminding me, I guess it centers you and keeps you grounded, which is good. That's good, because if you start believing your own publicity, if you start believing how good you are, and you start living that fantasy, then you can go mad and become a monster. And I think it happened, I suppose. For this time round now, in my second surge, or whatever it is, I feel very fortunate, very fortunate, because it's like a second chance at it. My life has been a bit like that, and sort of blessed in a way.
What's interesting about your life, to know something about it, is that you have been prepared at critical junctures to turn your back on what was obvious. You walked out of Macbeth, right?
Yes.
You didn't want to do any more Shakespeare, and you were then being perceived as, you know, one of the next great in a line of great actors coming out of the London stage.
Yeah.
And you walked away from it. Why? What was it about?
I was scared, I was frightened, felt inadequate, I was rebellious, I was angry. I couldn't stand the British establishment, as that's how I perceived it. There was nothing, nobody was, there were no enemies. The enemy was in me, really.
What was the enemy, though?
Me.
In what way?
I was the trouble. I was discontented, I was neurotic, I was self-destructive and paranoid, like a lot of people in this business. But I projected it onto other people. It's their fault. So I finally walked out, and I turned around and bit the hand that fed me. I mean, Laurence Olivier helped me a lot, but I turned around.
Laurence Olivier did what?
He'd helped me a great deal, and people like John Dexter. And I walked, and I always wanted to come to America. And as the years passed by, I managed to get back in contact with those people and say how sorry I was for my bad behavior. But it was the best thing I could have done, because I had to get out of that environment. I didn't fit in, and I didn't fit in. Now I do. Now I can actually.